Welcome to Divisive Issues, the foul-mouthed, spoiler-filled comic book podcast where you talk about comic books. I'm Sly.
I'm Ryan.
I'm Phil.
And I'm Darryl.
It's time to talk about Yu-Gi-Oh!
That wasn't planned either.
I want to very quickly tell you everything I know about Yu-Gi-Oh! First. It's a card game that a bunch of my fucking nerd friends play, and that's all I know about.
Hey.
Toon World, Exodia.
There you go.
That's it.
Okay.
Toon World.
I was going to say I'm not a nerd, but okay.
Shout outs to
Are
Joe.
you going to argue that you're a nerd? Are you being serious?
It's like, it was my first gut reaction. I don't want to get beaten up and put in a locker, but you know.
Just like Yu-Gi-Oh!
I want to officially dedicate this episode to our fallen co-host Joe, because he loves Yu-Gi-Oh! So much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we love him.
If you hasn't read the manga, this will be very eye-opening, because I, sort of like with Sly last week, I wasn't looking forward to reading Yu-Gi-Oh! I was like, I don't care for the card game. This doesn't sound that interesting. And this was completely not what I was expecting.
Did any of you watch the show ever? Or not?
I've watched the abridged stuff on YouTube.
So I watched the cartoon when I was younger, and I also had a very interesting experience with reading this because it is nothing like the show, which was nothing like the card game anyway.
Yeah.
Aren't there like monsters and stuff? Because I thought this was gonna be like kind of like a Pokemon type thing, and then I'm like, no, it's just like high school drama and magic.
It's where you summon them on like a digitized like 3D board. You summon the monsters to fight each other and try and reduce health points.
Oh, wait, but to clarify, because you might think even when the card game comes into the manga, it becomes like the TV show. Even when that happens, the reason why they have the holograms is because the monsters are real. Yugi uses it to torture his enemies. And Kaiba creates the holograms so he can replicate what Yugi's doing with technology, saying, your magic isn't as good as my technology, Yugi. I'll torture you with my fucking holograms, you piece of shit. So, yes and no, because like everyone's alluding to, the show is just about, hey, let's have card games, super special, awesome, let's have fun.
Let's sell toys.
And they go on it is like Pokemon in the sense that like they go to an island where they have to beat a tournament, and it's like all these kids with their collections of monsters that they fight, and you know they have like gym leader equivalents.
Yeah, exactly. But like this is like the ultimate capitalist whitewashing of a product ever, because the original manga is pretty much a nerd who plays board games and card games and his revenge fantasy murdering the bullies who picked on him. That's what the manga is.
What it is we'll get through the whole thing, but like the overall elevator pitch is a young boy who's like, I think he's a freshman in high school, is getting bullied, and he completes a magic puzzle.
It's an ancient Egyptian artifact.
To become like the shadow game master, and he tricks evil people into playing his game so he could murder them.
Yeah.
And like in the show, the Millennium pieces or whatever are a thing. Like there are ancient Egyptian artifacts, but what it does in the show is give them advantages of playing the card game. So you know, Yugi is better at, I don't know, he just cheats or something.
Yugi cheats because he has two people playing one card game. So they have two guys giving each other advice, saying, "Okay, you should do that move."
But then the other guy, like Pegasus, has a thing that lets him see the opponent's hand.
I would rather, instead of like conferring with another person, I'd rather choose Pegasus's thing and see what's in it. Also, Pegasus is fabulous.
Yeah, you guys are a bunch of fucking dweebs.
But anyway, in the
Toon World,
these artifacts in the show are for playing the card game. But the artifact here summons this guy not to play card games, but to like use like demon powers, essentially. Yeah.
It's basically like when like the devil or the Grim Reaper challenges someone to a game, and it's like, if you win, you can live. If you die, you lose.
Yeah.
But he's not upfront about that. He's just like, if you die, you'll have to have a penalty game, and the penalty is always an ironic death.
Yeah. Like, you never say that part. That part happens after the penalty game is revealed. Like, but I said penalty game, I mean you die right now.
Or like I banish your soul to hell or something.
Yeah. It was so weird realizing that this isn't like, it has nothing to do with card games. It's basically Monster of the Week with bullies with some weird like form of like poetic justice like roped into it. Yes. Where it's like, you really like gambling? Now you like gamble for the rest of your life.
To death. It is like Sly was saying, like a revenge fantasy where obviously this guy got bullied for being a nerd. And he's like, what if I had an Egyptian pharaoh who I could channel and I could then be tough for once? Because it's not just the powers. Like every single villain is like picking on him because he's such a puny little pathetic piece of shit. And then when he becomes the pharaoh, it's not like his size even gets much bigger. It's more like he actually is confident, and like they're always like, wow, is this the guy I was just calling a little bitch? But
they literally, there's characters that literally say like, that can't be Yugi. His voice is too confident.
and the girl like who is so uninterested in him is interested in his alter ego, because she's like, that voice is so strong and manly. So it is this fantasy where he's like, I wish I could.
It's Betty being into Hulk. Women
exactly.
want the confident monsters that are about violence.
It's like Captain Marvel, where it's like this little kid makes a wish, and then this big guy comes and saves him. But instead of like being this optimistic like wish fulfillment, he's a demon.
Yeah, and also like there is like one reason why I love this comic is there is definitely some superhero influences in this comic. Later on, they actually have a superhero called Zombire show up, who's like a zombie vampire. Zombire. So like, cool. There's definitely like superhero influences, but like the idea is basically he hulks out and becomes the masculine fantasy, just like in Ultimates, except I think Malara gets outclassed by this version of toxic masculinity. Okay, so getting to the story. So
we are going to be doing chapters 1 through 7.
Yeah, volume 1 of the collection.
This is written and drawn by Kazuki Takahashi.
Yeah, and the intro says like he was trying to get to manga for like 20 years, and he never could get it until he just made this manga for fun, and then it's like took off like a
It's because a lot of nerds can be like, yes, I wish I could beat up the bully too, and I could get the girl, and all I need to do is torture my victims until they die.
It's so crazy that a Konami card game came out of this.
Yeah. This is why I love stuff like this. Like I love when like Grimm's fairy tales, when you read the original ones, they have like children getting eaten alive and stuff like that. I love when stuff meant for children that we whitewash so much today actually is really dark and fucked up, because people are generally dark and fucked up, and it takes us a lot of cleaning up to make our shit palatable to kids for real.
I feel like this is so sly, where it's like, this is pure art before the horrors of capitalism destroy it
exactly
and suck the soul out of the suffering.
Yes. So it opens with a narration about ancient Egypt. There was a history of shadow games where a person's fate was told depending on how he played these games, and it told their future and stuff like that. And we cut to the present day. There's a kid, Yugi, and he's too dorky to play basketball. Everyone's going to play basketball, so he's working on his Millennium Puzzle, the one we mentioned before.
Yeah, it's like a 3D jigsaw puzzle.
Yeah.
And apparently he's been working on it for 8 years. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It's not that hard. Like, it really isn't Yugi.
Well, it's never been solved by humans before.
But it's not. It's a puzzle. God
But
damn.
humans don't want to solve it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's true. Later on, they reveal humans want to solve it.
So he has it in this cool little golden treasure box.
His grandpa gave it to him.
Yeah. My greatest treasure, something you see but you haven't seen before. And so then, if you watch the show, I'm going to use the show names so our viewers are probably more familiar with them. Joey Wheeler, who in the show is a Brooklyn guy for some reason, but in the manga, he's just a Japanese guy because that makes more sense. And Tristan Taylor, so Joey is called Janucci, and Tristan is called Honda.
Wait, Tristan Honda? You mean Piston Honda?
Yep.
Exactly. So they call him a creep because he's talking to himself, and they start playing keep away with his fancy box.
This was so weird because I was reading this. I'm like, but they're supposed to be his friends, and they're like, watching you pisses me off. It makes me sick. I'm gonna teach you how to be a man. I'm like, they're so mean to him.
They are. It's one of those like stories where like they like the character is bullied, but he like befriends the bullies eventually.
Yeah, but the thing that's funny about it, because if you watch the show, they cut out all this stuff, all the development stuff. So they're all just whitewashed, boring, like, I love being friends with everyone, friendsy, friends. Well, on the show, they're all dicks to each other at first, and they have to learn to stop being dicks to each other.
Sly's like, you can't earn friends until you've suffered, as we all
Yes.
have.
It's because this is what we did to Sly.
No, it's the inverse Sly, where Sly starts off really nice and then he becomes dicks.
Yeah, you should be treating me like this. You should make a man out of me.
We've been trying.
And they say only a girl cares about a box, and Joey gets so fucking mad that Yugi is not so girly.
Yeah, it's because he calls it a treasure, and he's like, "What the fuck?" That's what girls say. It's so weird because like when I think treasure, I think pirates.
Maybe it's a Japanese thing. I don't know.
Yeah,
it
maybe
could
it's the
be
translation.
a specific word like a jewelry or a precious object.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Taya Gardner shows up, Anzu in the manga, And in the show, she's another, like, all she does in the show is hang on the side and say, you can do Yugi, but in the show, she's like the typical tomboyish, feisty
She's like the
female.
tsundere, like
Exactly.
smack the guy who's being an asshole, and they're all afraid of her.
Yeah, so she smacks around Joey, saying, "Why are you picking on a little kid?" And Yugi says, like, she's to himself that she's his only friend, and he can tell pretty clearly he has a crush on her.
Okay, I have to ask this question
Yeah.
now. How the fuck old are all these people?
That's a good question. Good question.
He says, we've been friends since childhood, and they all go to the same school, and they're all in the same classes, but they all look like they're like 17, 18, except
then
Yugi
Yugi,
looks like he's
yeah.
like 7.
He could
Yes,
be like
it does.
just a kid who didn't grow like physically.
Yeah, I
much.
think that's the idea, is that he's supposed
I
to
always
be like the
assumed that.
most puny version of like a 14-year-old.
Because there are some
Cutie
kids who,
banner.
like, who take a long time to hit like.
No,
growth.
Yugi's literally drawn like a kid and acting
Yeah,
like a kid.
yeah.
Like, if you watch the show, when they show you like the dark Yugi, Yami Yugi, he looks like fucking psychotic.
Yeah.
And when they show regular Yugi, he looks even cuter in the show. Like, he has no nose, and he's always blushing. He's like, "Hey guys, I'm so cute."
Yeah.
And then he turns into a fucking psychopath when he transforms.
And I find it really weird because Yugi is like, he's really written like this little kid, and then all his peers and contemporaries, the women are like especially sexualized in like
Yeah.
a very
And
explicit
Yugi's a
way.
pervert. And we'll get to that in a
Yes,
second.
yes.
It's a manga.
So
It's a
I'm
manga.
like-
Everyone's a pervert.
Yeah.
I know. But I was like, are they like, so because they explicitly say that it's his first year in high school. So he's like a 9th grader. So what is that, like 14, 15?
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess if they're a couple years older, that makes sense. But they're all in the same class and stuff. I don't know.
That makes no sense. You're right.
He could have. Maybe he's a smart kid. He's a nerd, so he got bumped up a grade or two.
You're
and he didn't go
just
through
you
puberty
guys are
yet.
thinking too much into this story where a Egyptian god possesses a little boy to kill people.
Yeah.
It's just Yugi stands out so much
Yeah.
because he's like half the size of everyone else in this
Yeah.
book.
Yeah.
But so Taya talks about to back up the idea of Yugi being pervert. She talks
Oh my
about,
god! I just realized Yugi's an inverted like Ugu girl. Where
what
instead
is
of
that?
being like it's like in a lot of animes, it's like the little girl that's like really precious and acts like a child all the time. That
Yeah.
Yugi's the male version of that.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
that makes more
even
sense.
they
That
don't
makes
look
more
that
sense.
young compared to him. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, a lot of them
I guess
look
they're
really young.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
So Taya, after Joey and Taylor leave, pissed off that Taya spoiled their bullying of Yugi, Taya talks to Yugi about the basketball game outside, and she says, "Oh, you know, all the guys are passing the ball to the girls just so they can get shots of their upskirts." And Yugi imagines Taya's upskirts saying, and he starts blushing, saying, "Basketball, good."
Yugi horny.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yugi love Betty. But so Joey and Tristan leave while Yugi's perving on Taya, and they run into Mother Yushio, who's like this giant, like Yakuza looking motherfucker.
I thought he was a teacher
Yeah,
at
he's literally
first.
like 20 looking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he might supposed to be like kid who's like the Yakuza, like Sly said, like he's in a gang and he maybe got left back 3 times and
Yeah.
Yeah.
His eyebrows are huge too. They cover up a third of his face.
Yeah, that's how you know he's evil.
Yeah.
But Joey and Tristan are terrified of him. But after they back off from him, Joey shows Tristan that he swiped the puzzle piece from Yugi, so now Yugi can never complete his puzzle. He throws it into the pool, saying, "I hate that kid. I hate that Yugi kid. I hate how he's such a girl. It makes me so mad. I hate when people are girls around me. Fuck Yugi."
This bummed me out so hard because the idea of having a puzzle that can never be finished is. I was like, oh no.
Right, you see Ryan's in the target audience. Everyone read this was like, this is a real high stakes for people reading this manga. Like, no, the puzzle will never be finished. so Yushio shows up, meets Yugi, and says, I could be your bodyguard. I'll protect you from
No,
bullies.
it also doesn't help that Yu-Gi-Oh wears like these sneakers with
Yeah.
like really big tongues on them. It really makes him look like 5.
Also, he has weird fucking hair.
Yeah.
If you don't know the manga, he looks.
I feel like
fucking
that's
starfish.
one thing we expect everyone to know going into
Yeah,
this.
like you know Yu-Gi-Oh, you know he has a starfish hair.
Yeah.
So Yugi's like, no, I don't want a bodyguard, and he's like kind of weirded out by this offer. So Taya meets up with Yugi after class and she meets Yugi's grandpa,
Who owns the game shop? in
and
town.
he's also a pervert. More
Yes,
importantly,
he
Yeah,
is also a pedophile.
The classic perverted old man where he's like, I
Yeah.
know your bust size exactly.
Yeah, he says, like, you've grown up so well, and then he thinks to himself, and so has your bust size. It's a 32. And, like, yeah, that's, like, so specific that it
Yeah.
makes it so terrible.
That's the joke.
And he tells Yugi that, oh, don't solve that puzzle, Yugi. It's cursed. It'll give you. And Yugi wants to solve it because he believes it'll grant him a magic wish, like Dragon Ball Z, which he literally says, like, it'll grant me a wish, just like Dragon Ball Z. The glyphs actually say, like, oh, it'll give you the knowledge and powers of darkness. He wants to solve the puzzle. And next day, Yushio meets up with Yugi and says, "Hey, I beat up those bullies for you." And Yugi sees Joey and Tristan like on the mess on the floor, all beaten up. And Yugi's like, "Oh, stop hurting my friends!" And he starts taking the blows for them. It's very funny because like Phil was saying, like this is a typical thing because this is very much screams like abused wife kind of shit.
I actually like this scene a lot.
I do, but it's funny because like they bully him and like they never show they say like. They're like, oh, Yugi makes me hit him because he's such a girl. Like, and Yugi says, oh, it's my fault. I'm such a girl. I deserve their beatings.
They were trying to make a man out of me, and it is like it's definitely beyond like the normal like guys who rag on each other, but like they're trying to like whatever. Like they don't seem to like him at all.
Yeah.
But the reason why I like this, so the bully says like, well, people do often defend their bullies because like they think that's what friends are. And then like Yugi like defends them, and the bullies, Joey is like, why are you defending us? Like, we're assholes. And he like realizes that Yugi's like not a piece of shit, and maybe having compassion is like good, and he's like touched by it. Yeah. And like I got mad because I was like, this is so dumb. And then I'm like, God damn it, now I like have feelings.
And it does reach them. Like they do afterwards, Joey and Tristan are
we should Joey. Tristan takes a while later for
that's true. Joey like becomes like a diehard, like I'll defend Yugi to the death. Like he's like he's a good guy and whatever.
It's kind of like bigoted Republican closeted homosexuals who are like, I can't believe this guy, he's gay. It makes me so mad. And he's slowly realizing it's like, oh, I'm gay.
Yeah. While he's getting the shit beat out of him, he says, like, the wish I want to make to the puzzles, I wanted to wish I had friends. Making a very good follow-up to last episode. You see, all that person that Manga needed was to find the fucking magic Egyptian puzzle, and she'll solve all her problems.
I can't believe you're tying that in. God damn it, Sly! I'm gonna play a game with you next time I see you.
So the bully, before he leaves, the bully demands protection money. He's like, I need 200,000 yen, which is like a lot of money for a high school kid. What is that? It's like
1,600. Yeah.
So Yugi wishes for friends, and he goes home, and he's almost finished with the puzzle piece. And he's missing one piece. He realizes, and he's like, oh no, I must have lost it somewhere. And then the bully shows up with the puzzle piece, and he drops it off with his grandpa, and he tells the grandpa, like, don't tell him I was here. Yeah. And he even says, like, oh, one of your friends dropped it off, and like he was soaking wet, but it's not raining, so like he jumped in the lake to get him the puzzle piece.
Yeah. It is a pretty quick turnaround where like after Yugi like throws himself in front of the bully, he's like, oh, I need to stop being such a dick.
But I can see, like, if you were watching this little kid get, like, the shit kicked out of him to defend you for no reason, like, that feels like an earned turnaround.
And 14-year-olds can be pretty cruel and, like, not realize the ramifications of their actions. And, like, it is nice that he gets reached.
Yeah.
But Ushio is irredeemable.
Ushio has to die. That's all there is to it. But so Yuki's grandpa also to help Yuki, he leaves him money in the backpack to pay for the protection money, and but Yugi needs it in a different way because he transforms into evil Dark Yugi after finishing the puzzle. And he goes to Yushio after school, and he's basically like, you want to play a game? And he offers a shadow game to Yushio, saying, I'll give you double what you wanted, but you have to play the shadow game with me. And you'll play a penalty game, like I mentioned, if you lose, which means you're going to die if you lose. But
he doesn't know that.
Yeah. So the game is they're going to have to put the money.
This game is crazy.
Yeah, they put the money on their hands.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Phil, no.
They put the money on their hands, and they have to use a knife to pick it up. And like they're taking turns, so the more they stab into their hand into the money, the more they can pick up. But they also risk stabbing their hand.
And you have to take at least some. So if you fail to get at least one bill, you lose too. So it's like you have to like manage how much you want the money in your own strength to not just fucking stab yourself through the hand.
Yeah.
See, that's like, I thought this game was really cool. It just really caught me off guard. That I was like, what?
I thought there was gonna be a card game in here.
This kid's manga, and then suddenly this guy puts down a knife and money, and he's like,
also
like,
it was
let's
crazy
dance,
that Ushio brought a knife and
knife,
threatens
yes.
him with it. It's like he wasn't even just like, I'm gonna beat you up. He's like, I'll fucking kill you. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
this is Japan. They don't bring guns to school. They bring knives.
Yeah. Because it's a shadow game, Yugi says himself that your true nature comes out, so Ushio can't help but stab himself in the hand, and Ushio can say like, my hand, I can't control it. I just want to stab myself and take all the money because I'm so fucking greedy. So instead, Ushio wants to stab Yugi instead.
Yeah,
And-
like stab him in the face.
yeah, and Yugi's like, oh, you've broken the rules. Now you play a penalty game. And so now the penalty game is Ushio goes fucking insane and thinks he's surrounded by money. And it's actually just leaves of leaves from a tree flying around him. And he's like, oh, money, I'm trying to grab it all.
No, he thinks everything's money because
He
they
thinks
see
everything's
him
money,
in the morning,
Yeah.
and he's surrounded by leaves and garbage.
Yeah.
And everyone thinks like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? He went insane. Like, he's gone. And so Ushio is forever insane because he dared to bully Yugi.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy because it's like, it's not even that he kills them. He like literally makes them insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, he tortures them.
And in the morning, he runs into Joey.
Yeah. Yeah, he says, oh, I got something I got something you show, but you can't see. And Yugi's like, I don't know what that is. And he's like, yo, Yugs, it's friendship. And they become friends.
But then he thinks, oh my god, I'm such an idiot and a loser, and he goes to run away.
Yeah, he says like, I'm such a fucking dork now. Yugi has converted me, help. And he runs away. And that ends issue 1.
You know, I thought I didn't like this. I think I like this a lot.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yes.
Oh.
Okay.
Issue 2 starts out with Joey and Yugi talking about a porn magazine or something.
Video. Video's
video.
important because that's the theme of this issue.
Yeah,
Video.
you're
Yeah,
right.
it's called Video Girls.
Right.
And there's censorship in Japan, so they blur out all the genitals and stuff. So Joey makes that comment. He's like, I couldn't make it out. All the stuff was digitized.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'll lend the video to you sometimes, Yugi. And Yugi was like, yeah, this is awesome.
And Joey says like, I'll let it to you, you little pervert. And Yugi's like, yay!
That's why I said Sly.
But you didn't do the fucking Brooklyn accent. The kid didn't do it right.
So they notice that there's a TV van in the school parking lot, and they're like, oh my god, there must be a star here. We have to find who the star is. We're going to be famous. And Yugi, like, peeks into the van, like, smushes his face up against it, and it's a one-way glass, so he can't see what inside. But the people inside see him, and they take a picture of him, and the director is like, you're going to be the star of our new documentary. And so this documentary they're making is about bullying in schools, and they can just by looking at him be like, that kid gets fucking bullied. He's a nerd. Like,
Yeah, when they first say like he's gonna be our star, I was like, why would they pick him? And then he's like, we gotta pick the most pathetic piece of shit in the school. And I was like, okay, that makes
We
sense.
gotta pick the guys who likes to get bullied so we can bully him ourselves.
yeah, so that's what happens. The assistant director is given a mission: go find Yugi, and you need to beat the shit out of him on camera wearing a school uniform because they're media scum and they have to like make up a story.
Yeah. Fake news.
This is where I was like, how did this turn into a card game? It's a grown man being paid to beat up children.
So this guy, he steals a school jacket, goes to Yugi, and he's like, "Hey, meet me outside after school, and I'll show you the star. You get to meet him." Or her.
And Joey's like really wants to meet the star too. So Yugi like doubts Joey, and Joey gets butthurt about that Yugi doesn't believe him. So Yugi really wants to find the star and make Joey happy.
Any mention of women in this entire series is just for their looks or sexual appeal.
Oh,
Because whenever they mention them, like both Yugi and Joey are like, oh, their hearts are beating because they want to see the ladies.
Well, to keep in mind, this was made in 90s shonen manga. Like
Yeah.
this is 90s. Like this is like how many progressive female heroes were in 90s shonen manga?
I mean, they're we're gonna get comments probably. But I can't think of any.
Yeah, so he, like you guys said, Joey's butthurt, and he wants to meet the star for Joey. So it's another him being too nice,
Yeah.
and he obviously is not there to show him the star. He just starts beating the shit out of him on camera.
Yeah.
Oh, also this director looks exactly like Kevin Smith.
He does.
Yeah.
He's not skinnier, but he does look like Kevin Smith. He has like a hat backwards and shit.
And the same beard and everything.
The director is in the bushes filming this grown man beating up this child. And then Joey shows up and he's like, hey, leave my friend alone. You'll never, like, I'll beat the shit out of you, director. And he's like, well, I'll film you and then you'll go to jail. Power of the media, bitch.
Yeah, so he'll film. Yeah, he threatens to film Joey if he beats anyone else up. But they start beating the shit out of Joey and shut off the cameras.
They turn the camera off quickly and then just start beating the shit out of Joey.
Yeah.
And he's like, the media will kick your ass. And then obviously Yugi, because what happens, he doesn't seem to activate the Millennium thing. It's like whenever he's in danger of being bullied too hard.
No,
Like,
there's a trigger. It's when his friends are bullied. Yugi never gets triggered when he gets bullied. He's used to it. He says like, "I will suffer all it takes." But if you trespass on his soul, which means hurting his friends, he will turn into Yami Yugi.
Trespass on my soul.
Another example of how he's the anti-Sly. Sly, when we get bullied, doesn't say anything. When he gets bullied, instant triggered.
No, Sly's the bully of us. That's his
I'm the
trigger.
bully, yes.
yeah.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes.
Ryan's actually our Yugi. He's always like,
I'm the secret director making everyone bully everyone for the good of the media.
He meets the director in the garage later, and the director's like, "Oh, you little twerp again!" And he, obviously, with his manly confidence, he's like, "Is this really the same guy?" And he's like, "Let's play a game. We're gonna roll dice, and whoever rolls lower will win." This is so fucking dumb.
And if you tie, you also win. So the only tie goes to the director.
Basically, like, and you roll. Yugi rolls a 6. So basically, it seems like there's no chance for him to lose because it's a
and
suicide guy.
Yugi's smiling the whole time because he's like obviously has another trick, and the director's like, "This is such a joke because no matter what I roll, it will be 6 or lower," and so he throws the dice
at Yugi's face.
Yeah, he's like, I'll put a hole in your head and win at the same time.
Yeah,
and so it lands and it's a 6, but wait, the die is split in half and it's a 6 on one side and a 1 on the other side, which is a 7.
Yeah.
So got him, and then as penalty for losing, his vision is censored for all time.
I love this punishment a lot, unironically. So he gives him pixel vision. So like he starts seeing Yugi as like a pixelated, like censored person, and he's like, "This is so weird." And he's like, "Now everything you see is censored." I think that's awesome.
Yeah, you control it. You try to blur the vision of everyone in the media. Now your vision will be blurred. You scum.
Yeah.
And then it ends with another lighthearted scene where Joey is giving Yugi the porn, and Teia's like, "Oh, is that a good movie?" And she grabs it and runs away with it. And they're like, "No, don't watch our porn."
Yeah. Issue 3.
Yugi meets this other nerd on the bus who's invisible, Hanasaki.
Yeah.
He's not invisible. He says that he has the same invisibility rating because they're both such puny guys, and they're both drawn to be like the same height.
This scene really touched me too because he's like, "Oh, it's Hanasaki. He's another nerd that nobody pays attention to. I'll say hi." And he says hi, and Hanasaki ignores him, and he's like, "Man, I hope he didn't just hear me because like I thought like we were like I thought we were relatable to each other."
2 peas in a pod.
And there's another guy on the bus, another big like Ushio type, where he's not as big as him, but he's like obviously looks like a grown man, and he's.
I don't understand this at all.
Yeah, he sits down. He's like, "Yugi, sit with me." And this guy apparently, he's a bully.
He's like a big wannabe kind of guy.
Yeah, he like an Elvis impersonator. And
He has a big pompadour.
What he does is he forces people to come to him singing karaoke, and he sings, and they have to listen for like 5 hours at a time. And not only do they have to show up, but he makes them sell tickets to his show.
It's like a pyramid scheme.
Yeah.
Well, okay, for what it's worth, the music scene is this. It's pay to play where people have to sell tickets. Like, this is a real thing where they'll be like, if you want to play the show, you got to give us $1,000 and sell 50 tickets. It's like, it's a real thing, but I've never seen it where it's like karaoke and like it's you can't leave.
Well, Japan is like a very karaoke centric society. Like they really love karaoke there. I don't know if like
Karaoke is a Japanese thing, right?
Yeah, like and so like Ryan's saying with the ticket stuff is that again this book reached him in another way he didn't expect, like, touching on pay to play culture in the rock music scene.
Yeah,
I like how Sly you're making like affirmations about how this is affecting Ryan.
He knows how easy it is to convince me to like something.
Yes,
I see into your soul you like Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah, I've trespassed it to Ryan's soul. But wait, also on top of the tickets, we should mention that not only does he muscle people, he also plays music way too loud. He breaks people's eardrums.
Yeah,
and
he's bad,
everyone hates
too.
being it.
Yeah, apparently it's bad music, too loud for 5 hours.
So maybe I had to sell tickets and then everyone hated it and it was too loud. Okay, maybe it's a thing that happens.
Yeah,
Maybe.
yeah, but we weren't afraid you were going to beat us up if we didn't show up.
That's true.
He gets roped into doing this, and he doesn't want to ask his friends to do it because they're good people. And as he's saying this, Joey and Tristan are pulling up Teia's skirt to get a picture.
Yeah.
They have what is it? It's like a pervert paddle or something. What do they call it? Yeah,
T-square,
and it's like a big paddle that they just like pull up skirts with. Like, it's not subtle at all.
Yeah, like this is manga 101. But
Yep.
but it's funny because Joey comes to him first saying, "Yugs, is there something wrong? Is something wrong? Can you tell me, Yugs?" And Joey, and Phil said, Yugi doesn't
Did you call
want...
me Joey?
Yeah, Joe, you're my Joey, Phil. Brian's my Tristan, and Daryl's my Taya. Tell me the hell you will.
The trick is here. The problem here is that Daryl's all of our Tayas. And
Yeah,
we
it's
only need
true.
one.
Yeah, so
Guys, please stop looking at my underwear. Jesus.
But so Joey wants Yugi to let him in, but Yugi really doesn't want to have anyone else involved. He says himself later on, "I should be the only one to suffer." But it's funny because he's saying they're all good people. They shouldn't be involved with this, as they're trying to take pictures of a girl's skirt.
Yeah. So then Hanasaki shows up to Yugi and he's like, "Hey, do you want to come to this guy's show?" So apparently this other nerd got roped into this scheme as well, and Yugi feels really bad for
The
him.
one he saw on the subway.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should mention that he's also like he's about the same size as Yugi.
Yeah. 'Cause
Big
he's pathetic,
glasses.
and he also looks like he's also 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so Yugi feels really bad for this other nerd, and he's like, "You know what? I'll take your tickets and I'll sell all of them." And the kid's like so excited, so happy about this.
This is especially why like Yugi's an inverted Ugu girl, is because they try and shoulder the burden of suffering on themselves, because it's like that they deserve it, or that they can handle it for their friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the bully, Suzoji, he notices this and he's like, "Did you really think you could get away with selling or giving away that burden? Now I'll punish you even worse." So fast forward, Yugi doesn't manage to sell any tickets, and he shows up to the show just by himself to listen. And he puts on the headphones, because they're not, I guess it's like...
So Soji forces to put on headphones, saying, "Now that you're the one here, you have to listen through these," and he puts it to max volume with the headphones.
And he starts singing and blasting out Yugi's eardrums, shitty music. And he's like, "But I have another surprise for you." And he pulls that back the curtain, and Hanasaki's back there, beaten up for trying to get out of selling the tickets. And this is what triggers the Millennium piece again. And he's like, "Suzoji, I challenge you to a shadow game. We're gonna play the silent game."
And that's one thing that's bullshit. Like, if you watch the show's always bullshit because Yugi's a fucking cheater. But here, this is bullshit because it's a game that he'll naturally be better at than the other person because it's about silence.
Wow, I can't believe we've made it so many episodes without Sly complaining about a broken game. Usually that's like, in real life, that's like his go-to.
It's not just broken because he plays on their weaknesses, like their character flaws. Like
Yeah.
it's not like he cheats sometimes, like the die one, but like the green one.
He
and this
didn't cheat. He threw it at his head, and that's what snapped it in half.
Yeah. Because you're so fucking dick. You had to bully.
true.
You couldn't even resist bullying even in that moment.
That's true.
His sharp, spiky hair broke the dice.
Yeah. So the way the silent game is gonna work is, if you've ever played the silent game before, is you have to not make any noise.
If you've ever tricked a 5-year-old to shut up.
Guess I've done it with high schoolers, and it worked. I'm just saying. I told them that I'd give them candy if we played, and I thought they wouldn't buy it, but you know what? They all fucking shut the fuck up. So anyway. Not only is this the silent game, but they have these clowns in front of them that are sound activated. What was it, like Pierrot the clown or something?
Yep.
Yeah.
Sound
They're
Pierrot.
weird, creepy-ass clowns.
Really creepy clowns that just sit there, and if you make noise, they start to dance.
You could just have like a sound activated bell or something. There has to be creepy clowns that film their
Yeah.
faces while they're being quiet.
And so there's a clown in front of each of them just sitting there, and the clown's like ready to dance. And Suzoji's watching, and he sees that Yugi took off the headphone jack, and it's resting on a water glass, looking like it's about to fall. So he's just sitting there in anticipation. Yugi looks completely calm, because this is all according to Kikaiku. So he's like, "It's going to fall. I'm going to win. This guy's an idiot." But he gets so anxious watching this at the edge of the glass, waiting to fall, that his heart starts beating really fast.
Yeah.
And because the microphone he still has set on max is near his heart, the heartbeat starts to go through the speaker, and his clown starts dancing. So he's like, "Oh my god," and he's like, "Now it's time for your punishment. For the rest of your life, you're gonna have to listen to your heartbeat in your ears or something."
Like, basically so loud, like he's so loud I can't hear anything else. Like, it's just deafening.
Which is like a nightmare. Like to
Yeah.
But he shows mercy because he says most rock music, which people like to dance to, is in. He says 8 beats, which it's like it's a standard beat, so you can still make music, but you'll never hear it. It'll be deafening.
You have to
That's
sing
like
to the
such a
beating
hellish
of your
thing.
own telltale heart.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because like if you've ever had like cardio awareness like that, where you can't stop feeling your heartbeat, it's anxiety inducing.
Yeah, like when you breathe manually and shit like that. And he says like, "Now you're the human karaoke, just what you wanted."
Yeah. And that guy goes to hell, I guess, after that.
Yeah,
That's
he
it.
fucking probably killed himself after like a day of that.
Issue 4 opens with Prisoner 777 breaking out of jail.
Great.
So it starts with the heaviest and becomes even heavier.
Yeah, he kills guards with his gun, and he says like, "Oh, the horoscope said today was my lucky day, so I guess that means he could just break out of jail."
He also has a 777 tattooed on his face, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then Yugi and Joey are like, "Let's go to the new burger place, Burger World, after school." And Teia's like, "No, the food's bad. Didn't you hear? Everyone died when they ate there. They all got poisoned."
They didn't die. They're sick. Everyone died there. It's fucking cordon off.
And she's like, "Go to some other burger place."
Yeah.
And so they decide they're going to go to somewhere else. But she's like, "I gotta go. See you later. Just be careful. There's a killer out on the loose." And they're like, "Oh yeah, Prisoner 777.
Yeah.
They decide to tail Taya because they believe,
Oh my god.
because Joey notices she hasn't gone with them for.
Again, and you sit there and it's like, what could a woman be doing in this manga?
Oh, I forgot about this. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they decide to tail Taya, and Joey's like, she's probably an escort. And Yugi's like, "What's an escort?" And he's like, they go on dates with older men. And he's like, "No, she would never do that. Taya's a good girl." And it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Joey thinks
Yikes.
the reason why she's not coming home with them is because she's a prostitute now.
Yeah.
Yeah. But apparently she's not a prostitute. She's actually a waitress at Burger
Even
World.
worse.
Even worse. Because for their school, if you have a job, you get kicked out of school. After school jobs are forbidden.
By the way, there's several instances where you find out how fucked like Japanese school culture is. Like you can't do anything in Japanese.
That's
school
a real thing?
Yeah.
Like apparently,
I thought that was just part of this like fucked up world that they have.
because they adapted this for this episode for the not the episode, this scene for the anime, and they changed it for the American dub. That she's so embarrassed if people find out she's a waitress. That's so demeaning. She's a blue collar worker. Oh my god. So like in America,
Oh, so they took it from the Japanese like lockdown authoritarian view of school to the American like you're only as good as your income.
exactly, which I find funny.
mentality.
Yeah.
So she's like, "Oh, even Joey knows, and he's the biggest loudmouth. He's gonna tell everybody."
Yeah.
And she gives them burgers, and she writes in ketchup, "You tell and you die."
Yeah.
And Joey's like, "They expect me to pay for this shit food covered in ketchup."
And she says, I'll give you another one, just to promise not to tell anyone that
Yeah.
that I'm working here because I want to become a dancer and go to America learn dance officially.
Yeah, and they're like, "Okay, we won't tell." So Prisoner 777 shows up, takes Taya hostage at gunpoint, and blindfolds her.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I'm placing an order. I want my special brand of cigarettes and a bottle of whiskey." And he gives that to Yugi.
Because he's like, "You're the most pathetic little."
Yeah, the wussy little one will do.
Even
my
in the middle of a heist, I have to make sure to bully the weakest kid here.
Every issue is someone saying how pathetic and scum
Yeah.
he is.
Well, if you watch the anime though, you'll probably get a better idea of why everyone in the show is such a dick to Yugi too. Like people are like, "Can I see your cards?" And they throw the cards in the ocean. And shit like
Yeah,
that.
no, not just any cards. They're like, "Can I see your cards?" Of which there are only 3 in the world, and they throw them into the ocean. Like that's so crazy.
Yeah,
So I misspoke. He doesn't want whiskey. He wants vodka and Lucky Strike cigarettes.
that is important. He's Lucky Stripes because he's so lucky, and vodka,
Yeah.
which will factor in later.
Yeah, it's 180 proof, 90% Russian vodka.
Yeah.
I like that Yugi's able to get both of these things.
Yeah.
Like he just
They're
finds
available
them
at
both.
Burger World, by the way. This burger place.
Yeah, well, doesn't Japan have like those like vending machines that get all sorts of grown-up stuff out of them?
Yeah, it makes sense. This world is logically consistent. Perfect.
180 proof vodka.
Yeah. So Taya's like, "Yugi, no, stay back. This man's dangerous." And so the Prisoner 777 smacks her, knocks her out, and that's when Yugi becomes like the evil dark
We have to
side.
clarify. She's still blindfolded. She could tell that it's Yugi bringing the stuff because he says like, "Oh, you pathetic loser," and she says, "Pathetic loser. It must be Yugi. He's such a pathetic loser."
So Yugi sits down and he's like, "You want to play a game?" And she's like, "That sounds like Yugi, but they have such confidence. It can't be him. It must be somebody else."
Yeah.
So the game they play is you have to pick one finger on your hand and you can only move one finger. And if you move any other fingers, you lose.
Yeah.
So the guy's like, "Fine, I'll use my trigger finger so I could just shoot you if I want."
We also need to specify, unlike the other games, he doesn't say there's a penalty game this time. He says whoever loses dies.
Yeah, I just thought I'd help you pass the time before you kill me, he says.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's like, I'll use my trigger finger and I'll just shoot you. And Yugi's like, okay, I'll pick my thumb. And then Yugi pulls out a lighter and he's like, oh, I didn't even realize I do need you to light this. But luckily, you could still use your thumb.
Yeah, and he's like, I'll let you light my cigarette before I kill you.
And as he's doing this, he's not even paying attention to the hand. He's not moving anymore. And that's the hand pouring the vodka.
Yeah, so he's pouring vodka all over the place. And Yugi lights the cigarette and then he puts the lighter on his hand that's pouring.
Yeah, so it's like his hand is sideways pouring this bottle with a open lighter on it, and this vodka starting to spill out of the cup everywhere, and he's not allowed to move any finger besides his one trigger finger.
Yeah, and he's like, oh my god, if I move at all, the lighter is gonna fall and set the vodka on fire and burn me alive.
And if I even try to use a gun, the recoil will probably cause the lighter to fall too and kill me too.
Yeah. And so he loses the game and gets set on fire.
Yeah, and Yugi like already knows. Like he doesn't even wait to see what happens.
He
He's
leaves.
just like he's just like just try firing a gun. Good luck,
He
asshole.
grabs
takes off his
Taya
tail.
and goes, and then the guy, his cigarette falls out of his mouth as he says, "But my luck!" And then it
Yeah.
burns him alive, and like everyone else is like, "Okay, like this is fine," and they're all like normal. This guy,
And they're like, I guess this guy was such an idiot, he lit himself on fire. to death.
Yeah, and also no one saw what happened because there was a fat guy cowering in front of them, and his ass was so huge it covered the entire scene.
yeah, Joey's like, "This fat ass is in my way. I can't see anything."
Here's a question though: if once Yugi starts to walk away, wouldn't you just move your rest of your fingers, or are they literally paralyzed by the shadow game?
He says,
I assume they're paralyzed by the
Yeah, I
shadow.
assume that too.
it's just like the guy with the knife in his hand
Yeah,
trying to get the
okay.
money.
Yeah.
So this is where Taya reveals that she's in love with the mystery man who saved her. But if only she could have seen him.
It's kind of like the Phantom of the Opera type thing, where it's like the mystery guy who's like kind of like dark and mysterious.
I was just thinking
Yeah.
like Spider-Man, where it's like Mary Jane loves Spider-Man but doesn't care for Peter Parker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like every superhero.
Yeah,
This is like the thing that every
Yeah,
superhero
that's
had in
actually
the
that's
60s.
true. Yeah.
And while Taya's going like, I'll never forget that voice, Yuki's like, I didn't get to eat my hamburger. I'm starving. After he got out of a hostage situation. That's his
Yeah.
first thought.
He's a cuck.
Yeah.
He's gonna get cucked by his alternate ego.
So now issue 5 has another luck theme. Joey's like, "Oh, my luck is terrible." He gets into a bunch of fights and he almost gets hit by
Yeah,
electricity.
getting into a fight is uncontrollable. Just luck or not lucky. You
No,
know?
it's unlucky because he fought 4 guys and they actually hit him once. And Yuki's like,
Oh,
wow,
yeah.
you actually got hit in a fight? Like, holy shit.
Hit only
Yeah.
once.
Yeah.
So they get to school and Taya is that there's this kid in school, Kokorano, who claims to be a psychic.
Yeah.
And they look like a witch, but Kokorano's a boy, right?
yeah.
And all the girls are like wooing for him. Like, oh, Kokoro, he knows how to read the future. He's so cool.
And Joey and Yugi like doubt that he could tell the future, so they're like, Joey's like, let's go make fun of this guy, and like they bring Taya.
Well, Joey
along.
has a premise, like he gives that appearance, but he's deep down he wants to have his fortune told. So he pretends
Yeah.
like Taya dragged him there, and he's like, "Oh, Taya, why'd you drag me over here?" And then
Yeah, and on the way there's just an earthquake for some reason.
Yeah.
It's Japan.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Kokorano is like, I have a card right here that I wrote out this morning, and he throws it on the table and it says, an earthquake will happen. And this is when he thinks to himself, he's like, oh, Taya's here. I have to get her to fall in love with me. I'm in love with Taya. And he predicts that she will fall in love with someone close. And she's like, oh, it must be that deep, mysterious, dark alter Yugi.
As he's doing this, he's like touching and groping her hand, and he's like sweating and drooling as he's doing it.
Yeah, he's drawn
Yeah,
pretty
it's
like
really
terribly.
gross. Yeah. And Yugi's like, I don't know if I believe this. I think a lot of psychics are fake. And you probably have a bunch of prediction cards that you write out and just pull out when they're...
When I was reading this, I'm like, this is just the author talking to me.
yeah,
Where it's like, psychic powers may exist, but
Yuki's like the definition of a Mary Sue. I know. He's like a Mary Sue, but he gets cucked by his alter ego, so he's kind of like a cucked Mary
it's
Sue.
not
He's a
really-
Mark Millar Mary Sue.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so Koku predicts that countless letters will fall. And Yugi's like, what could this possibly mean?
Yeah, and it's like clearly like he's pissed off as he's saying, like it's clearly as a reaction to what Yuki just said about him being a phony.
Yeah, and apparently Koku has predicted dooms before. He said a student would befall a terrible fate, and 3 days later they did.
Yeah.
And so Yugi realizes now, it's fast forward to after school, he has an overdue book, so he runs to bring it back to the library, and Koku knocks a whole shelf over on him, and he's like, countless letters will fall, eh?
Yeah, and also it wasn't his book. A book I left there, and Yugi's such a nice person. He wants to return for that person.
Oh, I didn't even notice
Yeah,
that.
it's always him trying to be too nice and getting punished.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like, the author probably thinks, like, I was such a nice guy in that.
Yugi is like pretty much the nice guy. Like he probably is like a MRA at this point. Like,
and he's just like little and mad and typing on the computer. When I tried to talk to Taya.
yeah,
But when, right before the shelf fell on Yugi, Yugi was possessed by the dark forces.
Yeah.
So this is the only time it gets set off from not a friend. He was
Yeah.
actually in danger.
it's physical danger.
Yeah.
So now he knows that he sees Coco do it. So he's like, oh, he's just the one that, is making the predictions come true. So Coco had predicted that Taya was gonna swoon for this guy that's close to her. So he goes to see her and he's like, hey, Taya. And she's like, oh, I haven't seen my mystery crush yet. So he chloroforms her.
Yeah.
So she passes out. And then
He's like, prophecy?
yeah, as
Yeah.
she's waking up, he's like, see, you just swooned for me. It must be me. But
Yeah.
Yugi comes in and challenges her to a game where he has a bunch of sheets of paper and a bunch of sheets under the bottle of chloroform on a table. And the game is you have to remove the sheets without knocking over the chloroform. So, it's like Jenga. Or
Exactly,
like the magician trick where you pull the tablecloth off.
Yeah,
and
it's
use
basically a game made
magician
out of the magician trick, but like the idea is basically like Jenga. Whoever you might want to put in a precarious position for the other person to be fucked over, while still making sure you're in a safe place.
Yeah. So they do it a couple times and it gets like the end of the table and Yugi pulls one and it doesn't fall. And Coco's like, oh my god. So Yugi is like, well, if you're a psychic, why don't you just use your magic psychic levitation powers?
And we should clarify, it's not that like when he said, "Oh, I'm gonna make you swoon for me," like he really believes, like even though he's doing all this bullshit stuff, like he's so deluded that he believes his magic power is doing it anyway. Like he's so deluded, and he thinks
Yeah.
like, "I actually am psychic. I will make it levitate."
Yeah, so he all of a sudden like starts making it levitate, and it cuts to Yugi's view, and he's not. He's just delusional, like the guy with the money earlier.
Yeah.
And then he's like, if you're so confident, why don't you pull the sheet if you're so confident it's levitated? So he pulls the last sheet, the chloroform knocks him out, he falls back, and all the predictions fall out of his jacket, like thousands of
Yeah,
predictions.
he has predictions for everything. There's gonna be Japan's gonna sink, Mash Fuji's gonna erupt, Mr.
Yeah.
Kobayashi dies, etc.
I like how one of them is Japan will sink. It's like, when are you gonna be like, aha? Like,
And Yugi's like, I have a prediction for you. You're gonna sleep until school starts, and everyone's gonna come and notice you're an idiot. And
Yeah.
it ends.
yeah, that's like the least bad one.
Yeah.
It's like he outs this asshole.
Especially for someone that was like chloroformed a woman.
Well, because he only cares when they're like bullying like dudes.
Yeah.
He doesn't care. Like he's always like, oh, you're just
Yugi's
like.
a sexist piece of shit. But
Yeah.
honestly, I think it's more that as one thing happens as the series goes on, Yugi gets less murderous. He eventually does become more like the Yugi from the show, where it's funny because in the show he's very heroic, like I'm going to save everyone from the bad guy. While in here he's murdering people. So I think as the manga got more popular, it became more of a milquetoast piece of shit bullshit. So.
As a child stopped murdering men. You're like,
yeah,
this
so-
is more milquetoast.
I think he still murders a few more people, but like it's not 100% kill rate as it is in the beginning.
Oh my
Okay,
God.
Sly. So the next issue is Taya setting up. They're setting up a school festival and they're trying to decide what to do for it. And they decide there's a whole bunch of different suggestions, but they decide to go with Yugi's suggestion because he's like, oh, carnival games, they're fun. So they're like, okay.
And they have to call on Yugi because Yugi's so shy. Then he's like, I don't know if my answer's gonna be stupid, but he says it, and everyone loves his idea, and everyone starts saying, yeah, Yugi, you're great.
So Hanasaki shows up and he suggests gag manga.
Yeah.
And I looked it up because I didn't know what it was. I thought it was like a gross porn thing. It's
too.
just jokes.
Yeah, it's like
Because everyone looks like he's weird.
Pun-filled jokes and stuff and forkoma. Yeah.
But everyone looks like he's a monster, like gag manga, and
It's like dad.
If there's one thing I've learned, it's that people do not appreciate people that make a lot of puns.
You're Hanasaki.
yeah.
Yeah. So they decide to go with carnival games, and they have like this barrel that you put swords in to like hit this guy, and he'll come out on a spring. It's really weird because it shows like a whole diagram and how much money it costs. And how
Yeah,
to put
it's
it
kind of like
together.
it's like a spin on like a dunk tank where you're like pretending to be a pirate and you sit in a barrel and they like pick slots to put in, and if they hit the right slot, you spring out of the barrel.
Yep, and Joey
Yeah.
puts it together, and then Yugi's like, "Oh, you're supposed to be Bluebeard, the pirate." And
Because he
he's
made
like,
it.
"What?"
Joey made the barrel like based on his frame, so they're like, "Why don't you be the Bluebeard pirate then? You're gonna get stabbed by all these people in this pirate barrel."
And this guy shows up. He's the school festival officer. He's a senior in Class D. And his name is Goro. And he's like, this spot that your class is in is where we set up okonomiyaki, which is like cabbage pancakes.
The cabbage pancakes, or sometimes called Japanese pizza. It's like this grilled thing.
You basically put a bunch of shit on a grill and with egg, and
Yeah.
you're like, they're like omelet, like kind of weird omelets.
The way, because what's happening is they always get the spot, but Tail won the lottery, so they by all rights Tail and her group should have it, but because he's like, oh, we're superior to you, we're going to take what we want, they start.
And they're
They're
seniors.
seniors,
So they're like,
yep.
fuck you, freshmen.
Yeah.
You're underclassmen.
Yeah.
So they take the grill that they put the cabbages on, and they basically use it as a battering ram.
Well, they call it grill, but we should clarify it's like a stone slab,
Yeah.
that they heat up later on.
Yeah, like 6 people carry it as the battering ram. To
It
ram
almost
into
like looks like if you ever go to like a big hibachi place where
Yeah.
they have
Exactly.
like the one big table.
It's a grill, but not like a forming.
like American grill.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. yeah. They're not just wielding a giant grill.
yeah.
And so Yugi tries to get in the way to tell them to stop because they work so hard to build them, and they knock him out, and he goes to the hospital.
For the record, he goes to the school infirmary. He's
Yeah.
not like like
school
dying.
infirmary, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, he doesn't transform until
And he doesn't transform until Taya says that they can try again next year, even though that spot should be theirs, and like she cries.
yeah, Yugi knows she cries, and that makes him Hulk out, and he becomes Dark Yugi, and just like a superhero, he climbs out the window, and Tia just around saying, "Oh, what happened to Yugi?"
Yeah, it's like literally like Batman, like the blowing breeze in the curtains.
Yeah.
So he goes to challenge Goro, and they set up the grill, and they heat it hot enough so that it'll melt ice. Actually, no, it'll evaporate water.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so they have the grill, it's heated up, but ice is important because
This is so crazy because Yugi shows him a block of ice that they're going to play air hockey with, like on this grill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except in the middle is a test tube filled with explosives.
It's awesome.
it'll eventually melt. The ice will melt, and whoever's holding it last will fucking explode. It's basically hot potato with ice hockey.
Yeah, it is
Yeah.
ice hockey hot potato.
Yeah.
So they keep knocking it back and forth, but Goro's like clearly the stronger one.
And faster too. Like he's actually like Yugi's still a fucking nerd, so he's outclassed here.
Yeah.
So he has to think of a different tactic. So he does is when he has to hit it back, he puts his paddle like sideways so that the blade side is facing the ice puck as it
Yeah.
comes at it, and when it bounces back, it's cracked so that when Goro hits it again, it snaps straight in half and then blows him up. One of the things that's like the craziest thing to think about is like, how didn't they just like cancel the festival when there's this blown up student?
Yeah, there's never like everything's always happy ending no matter what. Once you murder a bad person, everything's back to normal.
I love how you're reading into the morals of this.
Yeah.
Because it really is like there's one frame of them dying and it doesn't even show their body. It's just like, move on. They're done.
Yeah.
They're dead. Be happy.
Yep.
And the Carnival Games was a big hit.
Yeah, that's happy ending.
Happy ending.
No one even notices the dead body on the ground.
So there's nothing left to see.
Yeah, it's true.
So the last issue starts with Tristan and Joey approaching Yugi, and Yugi doesn't like Tristan that much because he's still like an asshole and he still like beats him up.
He makes him buy porn for him. Tristan makes you buy porn for him.
Which is the weird thing. It's like I can't imagine Yugi going into a store and it's like, yep, this kid can buy porn.
Yeah. Hey, can I please have a porn?
Well, you're so innocent, you couldn't do anything wrong with it. Here you
Yeah.
go. So they have something to discuss, and Joey wants to tell him Tristan's secret, and what it is that he has a crush on this girl with a yellow ribbon in her hair that they call Ribbon.
And Tristan also doesn't want to tell Yugi. Like he gets upset at Joey because Tristan still views Yugi as a girly boy, and he doesn't like him at all.
And so they want to find some way to give her a present
Yeah.
And so Yugi's like, why don't we go back to my place, the game shop with the grandpa.
Yeah, so the grandpa comes back into it, and he shows them a puzzle with nothing on it. It's like a blank puzzle that you can write a message on it.
I actually think that this is kind of a sweet idea.
Yeah, it's kind of cute.
yeah.
It is actually. It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Tristan buys it, but he's never written a letter, so he's like, Yugi, you have to write it for me.
Yeah, I'm not romantic, but like you definitely can
Yeah,
say something.
You're
sweet.
such a girl. You have to write this poem.
Okay, but I don't think it's played as much as he's like being bullied into it.
Yeah, it's kind of like the joke. The joke is like Tristan's like, "I'll kill you if you don't do this for me. I'll kill you if you fuck it up."
But
like
this is gonna be classic, like
Yeah.
Sap Riot is projecting here.
Yeah.
But I feel like this guy is so like he's like this tough bully guy, but like he's still so scared, and he's like, I know like we make fun of you for being a girl, but like can you please help me? Like I need to learn how to be a human being.
Yeah, like I need some to be opposite of toxic masculinity. I need
He
some.
takes Yugi's hand and he puts against his chest and says, feel how hard my heart beats, take this passion, put it into words. And
Yeah.
she's
Like,
oh,
that's so
kind of
sweet.
neat. Yeah.
If only we didn't just watch them murder a kid in the last issue.
Yeah,
That kid had it coming. He tried to be a senior who took something.
yeah. He's a senior. He's probably an adult age. He's probably legally murderable.
Legally murderable.
Legally murderable.
Now we know what Sly truly thinks. What Sly's future would be like Sly's America.
Oh my god.
So Yugi writes basically like the love letter, which is, my beloved Ribbon, you look perfect in your yellow ribbon. I love you more than anything in the universe. Then
Yeah.
it says, love, Tristan.
Yeah.
And so they wrap up in a present, they put it in her desk, and then we're introduced to this female teacher, Miss Chono, and she's called the Wicked Witch of Expel because she expelled just 15 students in the last 6 months. And she has this weird problem where she's like a serial dater and is really obsessed with like men that have turned her down, and she uses a lot of makeup to cover up for her own insecurities on her
Well, no,
face.
it's actually what it is. It's the opposite. She loves dating men and breaking up with them. She's like, I love crushing men. It makes me feel so
Yeah.
happy. You can tell more issues from the writer projecting onto this character.
Yugi is definitely an MRA.
Yeah.
There's a scene where she says that he took that from me. I have all this beauty and he dumped me. Like, clearly she was scorned early on. That makes her,
That's what she's pissed off because she was supposed to do it to him, and he did it to her before she could do it to him. So he's like, I have to break a man to make myself happy now.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's exactly what men feared women would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also those a lot of those same assholes are the same ones who are like, every teacher at school is trying to silence me. They're all devils. They just want to see kids suffer.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because she takes her anger out on the classroom. She's like, you're gonna empty out the contents of your desk, onto the desk, and she's just waiting for kids to like have cigarettes and lipstick and condoms.
And we should also
in their
mention
desk.
when she's in class, like she's smiling, she looks pretty and happy, and when she's in the bathroom alone, pissed off about her boyfriend, she breaks the glass and she looks like a fucking demon. Like, I can't stand that
She
bald
doesn't look
idiot.
like that demonic.
Yeah,
Just like a mean bitch.
yeah, but like she looks
Yeah.
like very exaggerated, angry face.
So
I mean, it's so like clear that like the writer has some issues with women.
Yeah.
So Ribbon has her present out on the desk, and the Miss Chono takes it, and she dumps it out onto her own desk, and she starts putting the puzzle together in front of class because she's like, I can't wait to see what this spells out. This is gonna be like so delicious.
And Ribbon didn't even know this was there. Like, this is how she finds out about the present, and she's gonna get busted for something she had no say in whatsoever.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like Tristan's really upset by this, and then she's asked.
And the teacher's like, if this is a love letter, I'm gonna expel you.
Yeah, dating
Yep.
in Japanese schools is apparently expellable offense.
I don't. It sounds so crazy to me.
I mean, it probably is crazy and not
It's a far
true.
cry from all of our crazy sex-filled high school days. Am I right, guys?
You know it.
Tristan can't believe like this is happening and goes to stand up to say that this is his fault, but Yugi stands up and says, I wrote the message, and then Joey stands up and says, no, I put it in her desk.
Yeah, so they found a way to break up the guilt, but
I'm Spartacus.
Yeah, I'm
I'm
Spartacus.
I'm Spartacus. But I also love this idea where, because they all say, like, the part that they did it, and she's like, 2 of you guys are lying, and Joey's like, I've got you, none of us are lying. And, like, as if, like, that would benefit them, but she's like, I don't give a fuck, you're all gonna get
Yeah, I'm just gonna. No, but she says, but for some reason she's so mean. She wants to expel a guy so badly, but she's not gonna just expel all 3 of them. She has to find out who the actual writer is. And
She
she's
has
like,
to have proof or something.
yes, but she's like, I'm gonna just finish the puzzle, and whoever's name on it is on the puzzle, I'm gonna expel them. And she starts finishing up the puzzle, but
Then Yugi's Millennium Puzzle activates, and he turns into Yami. And this is where it's like, it's no longer just like a game. Now he says, now as much as you hurt others, you will hurt yourself. And he turns her face into a jigsaw, and so it falls off, and all of her makeup comes off.
Yeah.
And then everyone's like, wow, she's so ugly. Look at that face. And she
Yeah.
has to run away.
she's
I
so
think it's
ugly.
supposed to be like her inner personality shows on her face.
Yeah.
It's like she's so ugly
But they
inside.
specifically say, like, she wears so much makeup to cover up. I mean, maybe I was just doing a surface reading of that.
And also the way that the only thing they do to hint is they show like she looks really mad after the makeup falls off. They don't make a sharp difference between her and her with the makeup on, but like she does look like more like the evil side. But I was confused because I thought everyone saw her face as a puzzle and everyone thought, what the fuck's wrong with her face? So that's what I thought when I read it.
That's how I took it, Sly, because I took it more not that she was ugly now, but that she was insecure about being, like, naked.
Yeah.
And I used, just from the makeup, she's not actually naked.
Yeah.
This was also not so terrible of a punishment. Like, I thought he was gonna send her to hell.
I also have a feeling that some of these characters they probably want to use again. The writer wants to use again, so maybe they're the ones that he spared. Like the
yeah,
psychic,
that's true. Because she runs away, and she's like, I won't forget this, she
Yes.
says.
So like, I think the psychic maybe the writer's like maybe he has more potential to come back even though he's a fucking rapist.
Yeah.
And this one she can come back too because she's hot.
Yeah. And then Tristan asks Ribbon out, and she denies him. And that's it.
But importantly, now Tristan, they say like even though Ribbon refused him, something changed between us after that, and that's the beginning of the Yugi, Tristan, Joey bromance from the show. And,
Yeah, because they all tried to help each other.
Yeah.
Or they tried to help Tristan with his lady.
and they all
problems.
steal for each other. They're all willing to get expelled in order to save each other's butts.
Yeah. It actually, like, I felt like the development from the bullies to become his friends, like, felt very, like...
Natural.
Natural.
Yeah,
and
worked.
it worked. And that's it. That's the first arc.
Yeah.
This is an amazing book.
Yeah, I think
Yes.
it's great.
I actually hated it when I read it.
Yeah.
I still hate it.
I of course you
I
do.
think it was neat. Like, I like seeing the twist on each of, like, the things. It's one of those where, like, that's all it is.
It's traditional, like, the shonen style of, like, even the, like, shows like G Gundam or Fist of the North Star where they have all so much setup to see what the villain is, them to be, like, wickedly evil beyond actual human evilness, just for, like a caricature of villainy, and then to see the ultimate move of, like, how I finish them off, like, there's a lot of build up for the payoff.
Yeah. It reminds me,
So-
for me, it reminds me of a very episodic comic book where they like. It reminds me like when they'll introduce Doc Ock one issue, and Doc Ock is so unstoppable, and then Spider-Man has to find a way to beat him, and he doesn't beat him until the end. Except in this case, it's high school, and this guy's being a bully and bullying Yugi instead, and taking over the city or some shit like that.
I also feel like the thing that I liked about it is I feel like this manga kind of walks the line between superhero tropes and manga tropes. And, like, I don't like all of them, but I found it very interesting as, like we've read mangas that were very manga, and we've obviously read comic books that are very comic book, but I feel like this you could see its influences on both sides clearly, and I don't see that a lot.
That's why I ultimately like this manga. Like if you told me like is this like I mean with an Eisen or some shit? No, obviously not. But it is a very unique specimen. Like I don't think there ever was or will be a comic like this, and I like reading just for that, just to see this weird blend of nerd fantasy, superhero tropes, cliche pervert manga tropes.
And revenge.
Yeah, I just find it so interesting. Like it's very entertaining to me. I really love reading it.
So, Sly, have you read further than this?
Yeah, actually, probably I read like half of the entire series, like up to issue like 300 or some shit like that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Darryl, would you read more of this?
Probably not.
Phil?
I would if you guys wanted me to. I wouldn't go pick this up on my own and be like, I want to read more Yu-Gi-Oh!
I think that's where I stand too. Is like if Sly was like, let's revisit this, or like if you were like really pushing, like the next arc is really good, I would check it out. But I don't think I would go actively like go buy a box set.
There's a part of me that wants to do when it gets to card games, because they do stuff like bet on their fingers getting cut off when they duel. They have one game where they get handcuffed to a serial killer, and the guy has a chainsaw and he has to fight him. Like they have it never like until like the show becomes popular. It's insane all the way until the show comes out, pretty much. So maybe we'll come back to it. Maybe.
Okay.
Anybody have any final thoughts?
It's time to duel, but they didn't duel at all.
Yeah, it's time to die.
It's funny because each of the chapters is called duels because they are dueling. It's just like for their lives.
I think that was because like the manga was because it was originally in the magazine Shonen Jump.
Yeah.
So when they collected in the manga form, the actual book form, they were like, let's try to capitalize on the fact that the card game is super popular, and let's pitch it as a duel, and so that way when people read it, it's gonna take a while to realize what the fuck am I reading? I thought this was talking about card games.
Also, if you haven't already, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Show intro is so good. You should listen to it.
Yes,
I mean, people probably already did at the beginning of the episode.
They will have. That will be the intro.
Yeah, have fun listening to that again, or you had fun. Good job.
Good job. Listen to songs.
Okay, well, I hope everybody had as much fun as we did. We should keep the fun going in our Facebook group, Oops, I Talked Divisive Issues, our Discord, links in the show notes, and the Comrade Radio Facebook group, because there's some new people doing some, like, you know, we have, like, Sonia has been doing, like, Would You Rathers and stuff like that, so there's some new voices. It's not just same couple people over and over again. So everyone should join all those things and check out all the other shows at the Comrade Radio website, comraderadio.com. And yeah, that's all I got.
Cool.
Sly, take us away.
Thank you all for listening to Divisive Issues. I've been Puzzleface.
I've been paying to play to listen to the endless beating of my telltale heart.
I've been ready to defend Sly no matter what he needs.
And I've been getting my skirt lifted up so everyone looks at my panties.
Stay continuity.